Welcome to Journey in the Labyrinth. The labyrinth is a structure used for walking meditation, introspection, or receiving higher wisdom. Unlike a maze, the labyrinth only has one path in and out of the structure. There is no way to get lost in the labyrinth. I love the metaphor of release, illumination, and rebirth that can be associated with the journey into the labyrinth. During our show today, I invite you to imagine an energetic labyrinth. It represents a structure that exists outside of normal space and time, a liminal space where magic and alchemy occurs. Today's message will come through by dealing out 9 cards to represent our journey into and through the labyrinth. It also doesn't matter when you listen to this recording in relationship to when it was published. The universal spiritual law of synchronicity will bring you to this recording at the right time for you to listen to it. So take a deep breath and with an open heart and open mind, we journey into the labyrinth. Welcome again. I am Dr. Michael Bilkis, and this is Journey into the Labyrinth. Before we begin our journey, I invite you to consider a few questions. As the message comes through, how does it apply to you? What parts are apropos to your life and what parts aren't? As this is a general message, it's more of a teaching, and so some parts may not apply. Pay attention to what emotions or self-judgments arise when you hear the message. Those are the important points for you to recall and for you to explore after the video. Finally, how will these realizations change the way you view your life or what actions you take? So today's journey into the labyrinth begins with a card that I pulled a few days ago. Every day I pull a card and I write about it on how it applies to me. The card that I pulled is this card here, the 10 of Air in the Angel Wisdom Tarot deck. And if you see what it says the end of a situation that brings relief, sadness, or both. And you see a picture of a woman or a man leaving all the swords, which can represent conflict, internally or externally, behind, as this person readies to walk out the door into a new life, into a new situation. And so as I wrote about this card, it certainly was very much apropos to me as I'm preparing to move to another region of the country, to Savannah, Georgia, from New Jersey. And right before, or actually right after pulling this card, I gave my notice at work, where I'd been for the last 13 years. In fact, I'm actually going into semi-retirement as a practicing medical physician to do my coaching work and my healing work with people full time. So this card truly was apropos for me. And as I was writing, a phrase came through, which I thought was really, really profound. And it was, I owe the past gratitude, not servitude. I owe the past gratitude, not servitude. So think about that. Think about how the past may have chains wrapped around you, holding you in servitude. It may be emotional wounds or trauma, but it can be also more than that. Perhaps you feel you have obligations, such as someone gave you a gift and you still have to hold on to it, particularly if it was your parents or siblings or in-laws, and they gave you a gift and you've been holding on to it for years and it just doesn't work anymore and you want to get rid of it. But you say, I can't get rid of this because so-and-so gave it to me. Well, that's servitude. Whereas Gratitude is, wow, this was really a nice gift of love, but it no longer suits me. And so I'm going to pass this gift on to someone else, or I'm going to donate this gift. Or perhaps it's just outlived its life expectancy and it's time to throw it in the trash. You can do that too. With gratitude for the gift, for the love, you don't lose the love, but it's time to cut the chains, cut the cords, and give up the servitude. So we enter the labyrinth with the theme of, I owe the past gratitude, not servitude. So I'm going to deal out 3 cards into our labyrinth spread, and they represent things that need to be released, fears that need to be let go of, aspects of life that no longer suit. Again, this is about gratitude, not about certitude. In addition, none of these cards have been dealt out in advance. Everything that comes out in today's video is being recorded live and will be presented unedited so that you can get the raw teaching as if you were sitting here in the room with me receiving a reading. So I'm going to pick 3 cards to save some time. Sometimes they just jump right out at a person, and sometimes they just call to me. I find it interesting. I love to use cards as an oracle because it's amazing how the archetypes of the cards awaken something within me or with my clients when I do readings for them. It's not that they magically will tell me the future. What I like about cards is that they will reverberate, resonate with some aspect of myself for a client. And that helps us to unlock issues that need healing or examination or change. So I picked out 3 cards, and the first card that comes up is the Page of Earth. The Page of Earth could represent a person or situation. The card is about getting to work, studying, happy news about career promotions, new areas of study. The second card, the 3 of Air, is a picture of the Archangel Azrael, who helps us with grief, helps us with loss. Great sadness that will heal with time, let go of the past. Personal growth that comes from challenges. And the final card is a major arcana card, which represents more major events in our life, big changes, major archetypes. The Archangel Raguel is an archangel about relationships. Justice, be impartial and objective, stand up for what you believe, try to see all sides of the situation. You will win if your position is one of integrity. So in the aspects of what do we have to release? What do I have to let go of? The first thing that comes to me is from the page, I don't have to know it all. So if you have an endeavor, here we are, we're leaving the past behind. We're moving to something new. In fact, yesterday, Mercury went out of retrograde. So it's time to move forward. Mercury in retrograde is a time to look back, a time of introspection. When Mercury goes back into forward motion, it's a time ready to go back out in the world. But the page, who is very much concerned with studying and learning, in this position is telling me that sometimes you just have to say, go for it. Sometimes you have to do it. So what are you waiting to do? You don't have to get it perfect. It doesn't have to be all set up. In the labyrinth, you don't know what twists or turns are coming up ahead. You take each turn, each path as it comes and as things present itself. So if you are indeed considering a change, look at the next few steps that you have to take, but you don't have to know the whole journey. You don't have to have it all worked out, because they say that whatever plan you have is going to change as soon as you begin. The second one, the three of air. Three is often a number of considered creation. Two get together and create three. And when associated with air or mind or the thoughts, it brings up sadness of letting go of the past. So coordinating with this whole entry into the labyrinth of the end of a situation. So one of the things is to release is the past. Surrender the pain. And it's certainly not as easy as it sounds or as I say it. That's why we have a spiritual practice. That's why we have a community, a tribe, a circle that we can come to that can hold our pain. And if you don't have that, then there's certainly the archangels. And in this case, the archangel Azrael. Ask the beautiful archangel Azrael to come and say, help, take my pain. Take the pain from the past so that I can move forward. And this interesting card, Justice. It says, be impartial and objective. Weigh things out. Be fair. Well, not every time you can be fair. Not every time you can be impartial. Perhaps what I'm hearing is that there's sometimes that you may think somebody owes you something, and you can't move forward until you get what you're owed, or you're angry at someone, and you're waiting for some type of karma or vengeance to take place to make you feel better, to right some wrong that someone did for you. So if that's the case, once again, you have to let that go. You have to take that hurt, the anger, put it back in the basket. And there's certainly ways to do that. Prayer, meditation. I work with clients doing emotional freedom technique or tapping to help release anger, fear, anxiety. But it's time to let it go. Let go of the hurt, let go of the anger, let go of the need to see karma and justice take place. There's a saying that says anger, holding on to anger, is like drinking poison, hoping that someone else will die. So in this case, with justice, in the release or let go section of our labyrinth walk, it's time to put the poison down. Let it go. Let that person or situation go. It may hurt. You may feel you are totally justified in your anger. However, I can tell you from personal experience that holding on to that anger will only hurt you much more than it will ever hurt that other person. When you let them go, they leave your life. They no longer influence you. You've cut the chain, the cord, the servitude that's still holding you back to that person or situation. So we let it go. Next, we come into the center of the labyrinth. We travel through the labyrinth and there's a center, and that center represents illumination. The aha, the realization for us in the labyrinth. For that, I'm going to select just one card and see how that resonates with you. How does that fit into our theme today of walking away, leaving the situation behind? Another major arcana card. In this case, it's the moon, associated with Archangel Haniel, which means grace, of God. The moon is about intuition, about paying attention to signs and synchronicities. Interesting, it says here, let go of your fears, and we've been talking about letting go. Revelations that make everything clear. So the aha moment, the illumination in this situation comes from entering into meditation, prayer, and asking for signs, for synchronicities, to show you which doors are open on your path and which doors are closed. And sometimes paying attention to the doors that are closed are even more important than paying attention to the doors that are open. If you try a door in your path, you take some action and you just find it blocked. Tune in. Is this really the right door for me? Tune into divine inspiration from your guides, your guardian angels, your guiding angels. They're there to help you. And in this case, when you tune in to your intuition, to what's happening on a different level, then you see that often the divine will, the divine path will bring you to a higher sense of satisfaction, of meaning, and joy than what your ego is telling you is the right thing for you. So tune into that intuition. Learn how to tell the difference between an open door and a closed door, or between a closed door and one that will require a challenge and a little work to move through. Ask yourself, is this the right path for me, or do I have to try a different way? And now we tune into our intuition. We let go of the past. We realize that sometimes it's better to get it done than to be perfect, and that perfection is the enemy of good. We let go of the need to be perfect. We let go, we surrender our pain. We surrender our righteous anger. And in doing that, we can get quiet and be open to intuitive messages that come from our guiding angels, spirit guides, from God, from where you believe that divine inspiration comes from. And we realize that once we begin to tune in, we receive gifts. And the gifts are what we can use when we exit the labyrinth back into normal space and time. And I will draw 3 cards to represent the gifts that this labyrinth journey has for us today. The first gift is the last card of the major arcana. The card is the world, a brilliant success, a time of joyful accomplishment, freedom to do what you want and be proud of yourself. Archangel Jophiel, beauty of God. The first thing that comes to mind is that you have the freedom to do whatever you want, not to achieve whatever you want, not to get whatever you want, but to do what you want. So the first gift is the realization that when you've let go of these things that we've already talked about letting go, and you've tuned in to your intuition, the next step is to take action. And you are free to take the actions you wish. And to find meaning in the actions, not necessarily the outcome, not the outcome. Because if you worry or focus on only the outcome, you may never get there. However, if you have the outcome, if you have the destination in your focus, this is where this is what I want, and you say, what steps do I take? You will begin to move in that direction. But focus on your actions and the action steps, and those are what you're free to take. It's hard to tell when exactly you reach your destination. The second card, gifts, the High Priestess, another major arcana card. And if you look down here in the corner, there's another H, also represents the Archangel Haniel. The priestess is about turning inward to discover your true soul's desire. Developing your intuitive gifts, trusting the inner wisdom that you receive. So once again, there's a second reminder that not only is it important to tune inward, but that your gifts, the realizations, will come from turning inward. Because when you turn inward, the book of wisdom and knowledge opens for you. It's not always about the book learning that the page of air is concerned about. The page of air studies, works hard to learn, to be a success. But it's not always about book learning. The gift here is about learning and tuning into your intuition. And the final gift is the King of Fire. Motivational, inspiring, ambitious, taking leadership. Communicate your vision, the big picture. So the King of Fire, in general, the king as an archetype is one who orders the kingdom. One who orders the kingdom, and then the king's knights, the king's ministers administer his policies. So be bold, be big, be ambitious. Hold the big picture in your mind. The big picture that you get through your soul's intuition, the calling, the yearning that's deep inside of you. And do so from that king, from that queen archetype, the sovereign. Because just because it's the king doesn't mean it doesn't apply to women too. In the tarot, the king and queen have slightly different meanings, but they can apply to both men and women. So in this case, the king can be the sovereign archetype for men or the sovereign archetype for women. And finally, we step out of the labyrinth. We step out of the labyrinth, and the situation, the card that we step out of the labyrinth into is this one. Not a happy looking card on the surface. The Five of Earth. Earth deals with the physical realm. And you can see this woman who looks so sad and so despondent, with Archangel Sandalphon standing behind her. The caption of this card is negative thoughts manifesting into challenges, fear surrounding money, reaching out to others for assistance, poor timing for becoming self-employed. Who are you in this picture? Despite this entire walk through the labyrinth, do you exit saying there's no way this could ever be me? There's no way I can access my sovereign of fire and hold the big picture with ambition and boldness and passion. I've tried meditating and there's no way I can go inside and seek out higher wisdom. I have to get it perfect. There's no way I can let go of the need to be perfect. What I'm hearing in this card is that this is a really bold and ambitious journey through the labyrinth. I dropped a card. I'm going to bend down and pick it up. That if you're leaving something behind, the moment you begin to step out of the situation, this pops up. We step into the negative thoughts. How can I do it? I can't do that. What'll happen? I can't be bold. But here's the key. Here's the positive look on this. If negative thoughts can manifest into real challenges, positive thoughts and positive actions can manifest into real accomplishments. Five is a number about freedom. And it is not easy leaving it all behind for something new. Personally, I gave my notice for work and I don't have a job set up yet in my new home. We're moving from New Jersey to Savannah. And yet I knew deep in my heart that this is time to go and it's time to give my notice. I had a trust that everything is going to work out when I gave my notice. All the negative thoughts kept coming up. That I have to be perfect. I have to see the whole path before I go. And in all my channeled writing that I do, called automatic writing, in all the cards I pick for myself every day when I do my writing, this card kept coming up. It's time to leave. It's time to let it go. It's time to move on. I've been a practicing dermatologist for 31 years in private practice. And I'm ready for something new. I'm ready to move into a business where I'm working with clients in both coaching and healing work. And for years, I've been wanting to do that. And the message I got recently is it's really hard to move forward with one foot on the dock and one foot in the boat, that I had to make a choice. And so I made the choice to give my notice. And I surrender my negative thoughts. I step into my king, my sovereign of fire, and I hold the picture that what I'm doing is truly important and brings a great benefit and service to others and great meaning in my life. I did go within. I prayed. I did writing. I questioned. And I'm confident that I am moving in the right direction. Even though I don't see the next five steps ahead of me in the labyrinth of this journey that I'm on, I don't have to, because I know that the steps that I've taken is right for me now. The step that I took last week was to start the process of walking out the door. And now, tonight's the full moon. Mercury has moved forward. The full moon is about reaping the benefits of the seeds I've sown, of the seeds you've sown, and it's time to move forward. So I know that the next steps are going to appear before me within the next few days or week, and then I'll take those. In the meantime, I do my work. I go within. I trust my intuition. I trust the signs that show up. And they're subtle. The moon is more subtle than the sun. And I also know that I feel freer now than I've ever felt before when I made the decision to leave. Because I always thought that I had to have a secure job before leaving. Someone told me, if you want to leave, you got to do what the Spaniards did when they invaded Mexico so many decades, so many centuries ago. When they took over and conquered the Mayans and the Aztecs, they landed their boats and their general told them to burn the boats. Why? Because if they burned the boats, they'd have no way to retreat, no way to backpedal. They had to only move forward and win. Now, I'm not in a battle, and I hope that you're not in a battle either. And this message is not about you winning a battle against someone. The battle, the conflict, is with my inner negative thoughts and my emotional wounds. And the same battle of leaving a tough situation behind is within your inner wounds and your negative thoughts. So if this message, this journey through the labyrinth, is bringing this up, know that there is help. Know that there is freedom. 5 is a number of freedom. It's also can imply a lack of freedom. So the negative thoughts impede your freedom. However, you're not alone. There is help. There are ways to move forward. What I do with clients is to work with them, to empower them, to live the life that they choose by healing their past. And I call that transformational coaching. The primary modality I use is emotional freedom technique. And I invite you to come and visit my website and learn more about what I do at impactful-living.com. And if you decide not to work with me, then certainly I invite you that if these negative thoughts are coming up, impeding you from leaving the situation behind, then reach out to someone for help. There are many modalities out there, from therapists to emotional freedom technique, to shamanic healers, to hypnosis, to past life regression, to just prayer and ceremony. There's some modality out there that can help you to release the past and move forward into your future. So I want to thank you for joining me on this journey into the labyrinth. I'm Dr. Michael Ross Bilkis, and I thank you again. And I wish you a good night and a pleasant journey.